Hello, welcome back here on VTV International, brought to you live from Hanoi. I'm Dai Chang, and let's now check out our top stories for this bulletin. Vietnam leads 19 places in the Global Innovation Index. Vietnam actively copes with consequences of El Nino. And recent airline embargo in Ukraine affects Vietnamese community living in the country. The top news for this bulletin. Vietnam has high potential to become a destination for multinational corporations in the world in the next 20 years. This was affirmed at an international conference held by the World Bank, the State Bank of Vietnam, and the Vietnam Fatherland Front Central Committee on Saturday in Hanoi. The event attracted the participation of 200 nationals and international experts, including the president of the Vietnam Fatherland Front Central Committee, Nguyễn Thiện Nhân. Despite achievements after 30 years of economic reforms, Vietnam still needs to form key industries, effectively carrying out agricultural industrialization and developing supporting industries. Besides, the country is urged to quickly utilize its resources while tackling its remaining problems. Experts also highlighted the need for appropriate allocation of bank credit, as it accounts for 90% of Vietnamese enterprises' capital source. Vietnam jumped 19 places to be ranked 52nd in the Global Innovation Index, according to the latest report conducted by the World Intellectual Property Organization. It also means Vietnam is ranked third in Southeast Asia after Singapore and Malaysia. This achievement was attributed to the country's efforts in applying high technology in production.
This is one of the 4 vaccine factories in Vietnam. It produces enough vaccines for Japanese encephalitis to meet domestic demand every year. Recently, the company has decided to expand to other markets. According to its Director General, their production and research activities have received much support from the government.
Currently, the production of vaccines receives much attention, as well as financial support from the government. Secondly, our research topics are also given priority to be carried out quickly. And finally, on the market, our products are also supported by many projects and development funds.
Since the Law on Science and Technology of 2015 took effect, it has provided a favorable environment for enterprises. Thus, it has led to rapid outcome of scientific and technological products. In 2015, Vietnam posted over 2,200 articles from famous journals on science and produced world-class products in vaccine production and manufacturing mechanics. However, experts have said to maintain a high rate, Vietnam needs to make more efforts in institutional improvement.
It's high time that Vietnam boosts institutional reform and government management efficiency, as well as encourages foreign investment. We should also facilitate access to venture capital financing to support innovation efforts.
According to experts, enterprises are where innovative ideas turn to real products. Acknowledging this, the Vietnamese government is creating more opportunities for businesses to step up research activities and production towards stronger development in the future.
The Northwest region possesses a strategic position in national defense, security, and foreign affairs. However, the area is facing many difficulties. The highest poverty rate of the provinces in the region reached over 20% in 2014. To tackle the issue, the transportation and tourism network are keys to the growth of the Northwest region. On Saturday in Hanoi, this opinion was raised at a conference on policy to foster Northwest links from 2016 to 2020.
Participants at the event stressed the importance of developing transportation network in the region. Attracting investment for transportation development is considered the driving force for the region's development and connectivity, particularly projects on building highways connecting provinces and new airports.
We need to prioritize the transportation network. It will facilitate other sectors in which the Northwest region has advantages, particularly tourism. Transportation must be easy to develop tourism.
A report presented at the event revealed that only 29 out of 300 foreign tourists to Sapa continue the trip to Hà Giang. Only 10 continue to visit Lai Châu, Điện Biên. These are tourist attractions in the region with great potential. The remaining number goes back to Hanoi. Tourism connection between localities in the region still remain an issue.
Tourists often visit the northwest region only once. They might plan to stay there for several days, but they can't, as there are few tourism products.
Participants at the event agreed that the region should focus on creating new tourism products while creating preferential policies to attract investment. In addition, regional connectivity for tourism is key to the region's economic growth.
Now, there are currently over 2,500 FDI projects with a registered capital of over $22 billion in the southern province of Bình Dương. For years, Bình Dương has been among leading localities in attracting FDI investment to Vietnam. However, to invest here, enterprises must ensure environmental protection, as the province considers this is a key factor to sustainable development.
This was a ceremony to grant investment licenses to 38 FDI projects, worth a total of nearly $600 million on Friday in Bình Dương province. An important requirement that these projects have to follow is environmental protection. The province has invested in an automatic monitoring system to ensure these projects follow it strictly.
Automatic monitoring systems were installed at all industrial zones in Bình Dương to monitor wastewater from treatment plants. We check wastewater on a regular basis from projects which have large amounts of wastewater, or ones that discharge wastewater directly into the environment without treatment. We highly encourage enterprises to invest in industrial zones to minimize pollution. Projects which invest outside industrial zones can be approved only when they are in line with provincial planning.
In the last 10 months, Bình Dương attracted $1.7 billion in FDI, a year-on-year increase of 40%. Attracting FDI has always been the target of the province for the socio-economic development.
Bình Dương is a potential destination for investment, and we always think that the success of investors here contributes to the socio-economic development of the province. However, we pay great attention to environmental protection and workers' rights when calling for investment and approving FDI projects.
In 2010, the province set a target of $5 billion in FDI from 2010 to 2015. At the end of 2014, the province already attracted $6.7 billion in FDI. With this result, as well as determination to protect the environment, the province is considered a model for attracting FDI in the country.
Still in economic news, textile and garment exports to the U.S. are likely to reach $11 billion this year, up 13% compared to 2014. The figure may double after the signing of the Trans-Pacific Partnership or TPP agreement, which will benefit businesses with tariff cuts for imports. Currently, Vietnam's garment and textile products are levied import duties of 15 to 16%. However, the taxes will be cut down to 7 to 8% after the country joins the TPP and the products meet the requirements of origin. Currently, the U.S. is the biggest importer of Vietnamese garment and textile products, consuming about half of the total exports. Garment and textile exports to the U.S. have increased sharply over the past 2 decades. And meanwhile, fish export turnover as of the end of September fell by 9.3% compared to the same period in 2014, according to the Vietnam General Department of Customs. Exports of Vietnam trout fish to the EU and the US have been on the decline since the beginning of this year. The drop in the EU was 16.1%, while this figure in the US is 3.2%. Meanwhile, in contrast, there has been a sharp increase in China and Hong Kong, both making up 49.1% and continuing an upward trend since the beginning of this year. As of this October, there have been 203 Vietnamese companies registering for trout fish exports, making 740,000 tons of exported products. China and Hong Kong constitute the biggest market for Vietnamese trout fish, followed by the EU, ASEAN, and the United States. Still to come on VTV News, recent airline embargo in Ukraine affects Vietnamese community living in the country. And the Vietnamese embassy in Singapore participated in the Diplomatic Charity Bazaar 2015. Stay tuned for more updates.
Exotic Vietnam is an intriguing blend of many charms. This land is where all manner of stunning landscapes await like a visual feast, rivaled only by the beauty of its people and their abundantly rich tradition and culture. Here is where you can relive the past in richest color or live it up in the bright lights of the big city. With so much more to offer, Vietnam is simply unforgettable.
You're watching VTV News live from Hanoi. Now, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development has issued a directive on solutions to cope with drought and water salinity in 2016, following the recent consequences of El Nino. According to recent weather forecasts, El Nino continues to affect the country, reaching its highest intensity in 1997 and 1998, and is likely to last until the end of the 2015-2016 spring season. Accordingly, the directive specifies that the central and local level state agencies should strictly review, assess, and minimize the impact of drought and saltwater intrusion on business operations and daily life. Irrigation, reservoir systems, and hydropower plant construction should also be monitored to serve agricultural purposes and ensure people's livelihoods. Now, Vietnam will have 10% of its social activities nationwide publicized on the internet by 2017, according to the Vietnam Internet Association. This aims to promote the internet's friendliness in life and the formation of IoT, or the Internet of Things. IoT is the globally used tech speak for the proliferation of connectivity and electronic functionality in everyday items, which will generate hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue in coming years. It is expected to draw the participation of media companies, software, and internet solutions companies. The Vietnam Internet Association expected that by 2020, 50 to 60% of households and individuals in Vietnam will have broadband internet, promoting the application of internet in life, particularly in education, health, and public services. In other news, after unsuccessful negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, direct flights between the two countries were stopped from October 24th. Previously, Ukraine announced that it would not allow Russian airplanes to fly across its airspace from October 25th. The Russian capital of Moscow also did the same. The embargo has influenced about 70,000 passengers each month, including Vietnamese in Ukraine. And we have more in the following.
Vietnamese people in Kharkiv city, Ukraine, have been worried since the beginning of October as they heard the news that direct flights between Russia and Ukraine would cease. Like Ukrainians, Vietnamese usually buy tickets from Russian airlines such as Aeroflot. Some of them, like Nam, have bought tickets for several months to return to Vietnam at the end of the year.
Actually, I do not want to return or change tickets. because I'm familiar with this flight. Now I hope that the airline will refund my money.
Although Aeroflot supported passengers in cancelling and switching flights to airports in Europe, Vietnamese people still face an inconvenience.
In order to reach Moscow from Ukraine, passengers have to shift many times for different flights. It is very complicated and a waste of time. Passengers also have to have visas.
In order to return to Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City, flights from Ukraine to Bangkok or flights from Turkey and the United Arab Emirates are also in consideration for several Vietnamese. However, those flights take longer and are more expensive compared to those of Aeroflot.
Now, the Vietnamese embassy in Singapore participated in the Diplomatic Charity Bazaar 2015 held on October 24th. The fair was jointly held by embassies and diplomatic delegations in Singapore. The event aimed to raise funds for Singaporean children and to celebrate its 50th anniversary of independence. Let's find out more. The Diplomatic Charity Bazaar 2015 received the attendance of 44 embassies and diplomatic delegations in Singapore. At the fair, visitors could enjoy dishes from different countries. Moreover, handicraft products including Vietnamese áo dài and conical hats attracted visitors.
The Vietnamese embassy in Singapore is actively involved in the event. Despite difficulties, the embassy tried to collect items which feature Vietnam to introduce the country to visitors and to have contributed to charity activities of Singapore.
At the fair, each country also brought art performances such as yoga from India, Haitian dance from France, Hati singing from Malaysia, or Chom Cơm or rice drum dance from Vietnam.
I'm really pleased with the turnout. I mean, this is the first time this has been done. So to be honest with you, before arriving today, I wasn't sure exactly how many people would be here. But to see this place packed.
Embassies agreed to try to hold this event annually. Next year, the fair will be organized in a different place so that Singaporean people can go to the fair. Charity activities then can be stimulated.
All money from the fair will be given to children's support funds in Singapore. Reaching its main goal, the fair also became a place for cultural exchange and contributed to promoting solidarity among foreign people in Singapore. Now, the 4th Asian Contest of Architectural Rookies Award opened in Ho Chi Minh City on October 24th, considered a stage for the architectural industry to find rising stars. It has brought together architecture students from 17 countries across Asia, including Vietnam, Japan, and Myanmar, among others. The following report has more.
This is a model of a modified machiya, a traditional Japanese house. To make it fit the modern city, its designer Takaki Kyoshu has decided to give the house a new outfit but maintain its original structure.
We will keep its traditional structure because it will save costs as well as reduce negative impacts on the people living here. The new parts will expand the space and make the house look more elegant.
This is one of the projects that participated in this year's contest. According to the judge, they have received many other practical and social projects, such as a community center for the elderly and a bird conservation center.
In that times, I felt there are so many good works. So compared to the 2 or 3 years.
These are really good ideas. I think that the government should support them not only in studies, but also in making real investment to realize these projects.
This year's contest attracted about 30 participants from 17 Asian countries. This annual playground aims to support architectural education and nurture the progress of modern architecture. It also provides an opportunity for participants to field and discuss different styles of Oriental and Western architecture.
Vũ Thanh Tâm, a Russian teacher from the Da Nang University of Foreign Language Studies, won 2 awards in the 3rd Best Foreign Teacher of Russian Language and Literature competition held on Friday in Russia. She grabbed dual awards for her outstanding pronunciation and eloquence. Approximately 1,000 teachers of the Russian language from 60 countries attended the qualifying round of the competition. Tâm was among 15 finalists. The annual contest was first launched in 2013 in a bid to popularize the Russian language around the world and improve the capability of foreign teachers in their teaching of the Russian language and literature. And now it's the time to take a look back on the highlights of this week's news.
The 10th plenary session of the 13th National Assembly opened on Tuesday morning in Hanoi. At the opening session, the National Assembly's Chairman Nguyen Sinh Hung said that the current National Assembly session would discuss a range of topics. In addition, the session would review the country's socio-economic development and state budget this year and policies for next year. The National Assembly will also host a Q&A session to scrutinize the work of ministers over the past period and also set the date for the next general election. The session is being held in a run-up to the 12th National Congress of Vietnam Communist Party and coincides with the 70th anniversary of the first national election. As in its agenda, the 10th session will close on November the 28th.
Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng received a senior Lao delegation led by Deputy Prime Minister Somsavat Langsavat in Hanoi on Tuesday. The Vietnamese leaders said that Vietnam and Laos will continue to cherish their special relationship and cooperation in all areas, contributing to peace, stability, cooperation, and development. He briefed the Laotian officials on the situations in Vietnam and preparations for the upcoming 12th Congress of the Communist Party of Vietnam. The Laotian Deputy Prime Minister informed the party leader that Laos was ready to join the ASEAN community by the end of this year and was preparing for its upcoming term as ASEAN chair in 2016. He further reiterated that Laos would do what it could to bolster its traditional friendship with Vietnam.
Senior officials from Cambodia and Vietnam met in Ho Chi Minh City on October the 18th. The meeting aims to draft the agenda for the 14th plenary meeting of the Vietnam-Cambodia Joint Committee on Cooperation in Economics, Culture and Science Technology. Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Phạm Bình Minh and his Cambodian counterpart co-chaired the event. Besides measures to boost economics, trade, investment and tourism partnership, the two sides looked at how to accelerate border demarcation and border marker planting, strengthen border management and ensure the rights and interests of foreign nationals in the host country. On Monday, Deputy Minister of Defense Nguyen Chi Vinh led a Vietnamese delegation to the Cambodian capital of Phnom Penh for the Vietnam-Cambodia Military Policy Dialogue. During the meetings, the two sides focused on exchanging information on international and regional safety as well as the regional security situation. Leaders from both countries outlined strategies to boost military cooperation. The two sides also discussed the East Sea issue, agreeing to implement the UN Convention and the Declaration of Conduct on settling disputes among relevant countries.
The China-ASEAN Defense Ministers' informal meeting on security and law enforcement cooperation was held on Friday, October 23rd in Beijing. With the theme Security for Prosperity, the meeting aims to promote mutual understanding and cooperation to deal with new challenges in regional security. At the event, Vietnam's Defense Minister General Phùng Quang Thanh called on China and ASEAN to strengthen cooperation in order to maintain peace, stability, and prosperity in the region. Minister Thanh also highly appreciated the cooperation mechanisms among law enforcement agencies of ASEAN countries and China, including the ASEAN-China Ministerial Meeting on Transnational Crime in recent years.
On Wednesday, with 182 out of 187 votes, Vietnam was voted one of the 18 new members of the United Nations Economic and Social Council for the 2016-2018 term. The result was announced at the 70th session of the General Assembly of the United Nations. Joining one of the 6 main UN bodies, Vietnam will jointly be in charge of economic, social, cultural, educational, healthcare, and humanity issues worldwide. Speaking at the vote, South Korean ambassador to the UN and incumbent Economic and Social Council President Oh Jun expressed great expectations for Vietnam's contributions. Over the next 3 years, Vietnam, as an Economic and Social Council member, will directly contribute to the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Vietnam's traditional culture, cuisine, and handicrafts were introduced to an international audience at the Asian Culture and Culinary Festival on Sunday in Kiev, Ukraine. The annual festival, the third of its kind, was organized by embassies from Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia, with support from other embassies including India, Iran, Iraq, Japan, the Republic of Korea, and Pakistan. The event aimed to present a variety of Asian cultures and cuisines to Ukrainian people and international friends, enhancing understanding between Asian nations and the host. Art performances, film screenings, traditional handicrafts, and food were among the event's highlights. The event's revenue will be donated to people in need living in Ukraine.
And now time to check out our latest updates on weather scene. And that's it for the newscast. In the meantime, do log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go for more of our news coverage. For now, goodbye from Hanoi.